Errol Spence Jr. has Terence Crawford cornered, and Terence Crawford will be taking that rematch this year. That because of something I already told you, despite a whole bunch of people trying to tell you otherwise. I told you. Let's talk about that in this video. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford will be made in the year of 2024. This because of what I've said in several other videos, now double down because of a statement by Canelo Alvarez. And I do believe that it is going to be a better fight than it was the first time. And Terence Crawford ain't got no choice. However, certain people in the boxing world do not want this fight to happen because they keep saying over and over again how people don't want to see that fight. However, I'm going to argue that that is not true. But before I get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really does make a big difference to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Canelo Alvarez tells Terence Crawford, no, I'm not going to fight you. And he says it because it's a lose-lose for me. I have nothing to gain and I have everything to lose with Terence Crawford. I'll make a bunch of money, but, and I'll fill in the blank here, I can make a lot of money against anybody. If I beat this really small guy moving up to 140s from 147 to 168, they're going to say that I beat a small guy, just like they just said I did against Jermell Charlo, who was bigger than me. That's what Canelo Alvarez says. Who is actually bigger than me? And I have to tell you, he's right. Jermell Charlo in height and frame is bigger than Canelo Alvarez. I don't know necessarily about the muscle mass and all of that, but still, the man has a point. But more importantly than that, I told you that he was never going to fight Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez was never going to fight Terence Crawford. And this is my true belief on this, is because of the everything to lose aspect of it. Terence Crawford is without a doubt a great fighter. And in my opinion, the best fighter and the number one fighter in boxing. He's earned that for over a decades of work, 40 fights worth of work and performing at the highest level. The man can do everything in the ring, special talent, all of that good stuff. So is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is also everything that we've said Terence Crawford has accomplished. Canelo Alvarez has accomplished the same amount of stuff. Had been considered the number one pound for pound fighter in the world at a time. Was considered, and that was prior to his loss, I do believe, with Dimitri Bivol. Has been an undisputed champion. He's been on the biggest stages in boxing, been the biggest stage in boxing for a while now. Beat guys that are probably going to wind up in the Hall of Fame like Gennady Golovkin. He's done all that, but still he has the potential of losing to Terence Crawford because their frames are around the same height, same length, and all of the above. So he gets in there with a very quick, experienced fighter like that. Hey man, you're going to have to get that dude a whole lot extra to get in the fight, get in the ring with Terence Crawford. And he's in the similar position that Terence Crawford is in with Jaron Ennis. And to me, I find it very ironic that certain people, and I don't believe that they're really Terence Crawford fans. I just think that they, generally speaking, are haters. But they'll say, well, Terence Crawford doesn't get anything out of Jaron Ennis, so why would he fight him? Well, don't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez pulls the same thing on Terence Crawford that Terence Crawford pulled on Jaron Ennis. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with the Errol Spence fight, because that is by the way, only right. And why is it right? Because Errol Spence Jr. paid for it. Errol Spence Jr. did everything Errol Spence Jr. needed to do to collect those 3 belts. Errol Spence Jr. gave Terence Crawford a bunch of extra money, according to him, his viewpoint of it, in order to entice Terence Crawford to the fight to begin with. And Errol said, look, man, I want the rematch. And he put the rematch clause in the contract, and Terence Crawford agreed to it. Right there, that's enough for Terence Crawford to have to fight that man, regardless of whether or not people sitting on the sidelines say they want to see it or not. Because I have a suspicion when that fight gets made, you all are going to watch. I doubt y'all are going to go to the movies and watch, the musical version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't believe that's what you're going to do. I believe you're going to sit down and watch that fight, just like I'm going to sit down on that fight like this and be very worried about it. But still, the man, Errol Spence, deserves the rematch. Because you can have an off night. You can be injured going into the ring. Funny things happen. And to have him have his opportunity to get his get back is only right. And I'm telling you, God don't like ugly. And I'm not putting this on God. I'm just putting this on the coincidence, call it coincidence, that Terence Crawford is talking like he doesn't want to do the rematch with Errol, even though Errol negotiated for it and Terence Crawford agreed to it. And at the same time, all of Terence Crawford's other avenues get cut off. Tim Tszyu is fighting Keith Thurman, so that fight might absolutely positively go away. And if Tim Tszyu does fight Keith Thurman and he loses, he'll still hold the championship. But I'll bet you I'll bet you something that Tim Tszyu is going to go the Jermell Charlo route and try to unify 3 belts instead of just defending his one against Terence Crawford. And if they try to strip him, which the WBO will probably not do, because Terence Crawford does not have a major promoter to push what I believe to be the most crooked of all the sanctioning bodies, the WBO, around, or at least the one, let me not call them the most crooked because they all like Z's, but the one that is most likely to be to do whatever Bob orders, right? Or Golden Boy orders. I doubt very much that they are going to go out of their way to strip Tim Tszyu of that belt when they got a 3-belt unification going on with Jermell. At the end of the day, though, we are more than likely going to see this rematch with Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. Errol has Terence Crawford at least outside the ring where he wants him. He went on ahead and had the cataract surgery. The cataract surgery, I promise you, is because he knew that what time frame that fight was going to take place in, which is going to be the middle of the year. And both Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. will probably have had another year layoff going into that fight, which is not a good thing. But at the same time, you know what it is. It is what it is. And I'm looking forward to the fight. I would just want to see a lot of fights this year, like back to 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 back, and just have a lot of really good names and big names in the ring. Would love to see him in there twice. We're also pretty soon going to get the Gervonta Davis fight announced. I'm hoping it's Frank Martin, but it very well may be Rayo Valenzuela. I'm sure whoever it is, a whole lot of people are going to buy it and a whole lot of people are going to cry about it. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.